ただいまからローカル 5G 国際ワークショップ工場製造業
I'd
と
like to begin the local 5G international workshop, Global Frontline of Factories, Manufacturing Industries and Business Development. I am going to serve as MC Tamami Kodemura. Very nice to meet you and thank you very much for having me.
なお本ワークショップでは同時通
In
訳を
this workshop, we have simultaneous interpretation services. We have handed to you the receiver for the interpretation. On channel 1, you can hear Japanese, and on channel 2, you can hear English. Now, upon this occasion to open this workshop on behalf of the co-hosts, I would like to invite Mr. Hiroyuki Ogawa, Director of Land Mobile Communications Division, Radio Department, Telecommunications Bureau of MIC, Ministry of Internal Affairs and Communications. Please have the floor, Mr. Ogawa.
ただいまご紹介に預かりました総
Thank
務
you
省
for
移
the
動通
kind
信
introduction. I am Ogawa, Director of Land Mobile Communication Division, the Ministry of Internal Affairs and Communications. Thank you very much for your continued understanding and support of the radio wave administration. As the co-host, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the many people who have participated in this local 5G international workshop today, and to Professor Morikawa and Professor Nakao, the co-chairs, co-representatives of the XG Mobile Communications Promotion Forum, and everyone involved for the support of the 5G promotion. Thank you very much. Today, we will have a local 5G international workshop titled Global Frontline of Factories, Manufacturing Industries and Business Development, where we will have lectures and panel discussions by those who are working on the front lines of industrial 5G deployment, utilization in factories, and business development. In addition, the lectures will be available on demand on the official website of the XGMF and will be broadcasted in English not only in Japan but also all over the world. So I hope that many people will be able to view that. Now, as you know, for local 5G, frequency allocation began in December 2019 in Japan, and the number of licensees has reached about 172 as of September 2024, as of today. The advantage of local 5G is that various companies and organizations can flexibly build networks that meet their needs, and it is expected that the range of 5G utilization will expand further. In order to fully utilize such advantages and to make local 5G even more user-friendly for applicants, MIC has implemented institutional improvements for the use of other parties' land in response to many requests. And further, based upon this, the guidelines for local 5G deployment were revised in August 2023. Further efforts include the establishment of a system to enable the installation of local 5G base stations on offshore structures such as offshore wind farms and submarine oil and gas fields during this fiscal year, based on a partial report on offshore use compiled by the Information and Communications Council. In addition, experimental station system whose procedures have been simplified and able to be implemented by the end of this fiscal year 2025. And also the possibility of revising the system to simplify and expedite the licensing process for local 5G by utilizing the mechanisms for interference coordination with other radio stations based on the trend in demand within the target date of within fiscal year 2025. We will continue to improve the system to make local 5G even easier for everyone to use, and we would like to hear your requests, and we would like to seek your understanding on that. In conclusion, I would like to say that and conclude my remarks by wishing you all a fruitful and productive event, and also with expectation that the local 5G utilization will further expand. Thank you very much.
小川様、ありがとうござ
Thank
い
you,
まし
Mr.
た。
Ogawa.
それでは早速プログラムを
Now, we
始
would
めさ
like
せ
to
ていただ
start
き
the
ます。
program.
工場、製造業とビジネス開発に挑む
The
グローバルな
A
最
global
前線
frontline of factories, manufacturing industries, and business development is the title of the workshop, and we have 6 speakers. Our first speaker is a Japan ambassador of 5G ACIA, Mr. Masakazu Shirota. His presentation is titled Industrial 5G State of the Union. Shirota-san, over to you, please. Thank you very much for the introduction. I am Shirota, serving as a Japan ambassador at 5G ACIA. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I would like to introduce 5G ACIA and its activities in my presentation. First of all, who are we? What is 5G ACIA? As you know, cellular technology started with the first generation, and as of today, we have a fifth generation. It has become a highly functional network that is in place today. And 5G provides not only services to mobile phones, but it can be applied to different areas. So therefore, industry applications could be one of the use cases. So Industry 4.0 is the target, and we are trying to realize these two objectives. And 5G ACIA was established to achieve those goals. 5G ACIA basically focuses on industrial use. That's how we started. So 5G connectivity to be realized in factories, and also high performance access can be used to make access to the cloud or utilize digital twins, or utilize AI or machine learning to do something very sophisticated. And to adopt all of these technology to the market, 5G ACIA is implementing its activities. So this is a repetition, but 5G ACIA is consists of companies that are working on ICT and so on, and also companies that are doing precision technologies, kind of technologies that are used to develop systems that are used in factories. So all of these corporate members get together to have discussions. So audio industry and ICT industry, actually, before the establishment of 5G ACIA, the terminology or the language that we spoke were quite different between these two industries. So it was very difficult to have a communication between the two. So to solve that problem, we created things like white paper to come up with a common language for with which two industries can work together. So Industry 2G use cases, they are various. On the left-hand side at the top, we have logistics, uses the technology AMR within the premise. So I think this is the kind of use case that is highly used. It requires stable communication, and having AMR moving around autonomously is not sufficient for efficiency. So, and to fully utilize the functionality, 5G is a necessity. And there are some other use cases that are on the slide. So to realize all of these use cases, 5G is required. But on the other hand, industry-related use cases covers a wide area, and there are various requirements to be fulfilled. So it's very difficult to focus on one. So that is what we have identified as a result of the past activities. 5G ACIA itself was established in April 2018. And then up until today, it's been 5 years already. And last month, we had a meeting in Beijing, and we have seen increasing the number of participants. And as of today, there are about 100 members. Of course, Japanese companies are members as well. NTT Docomo Nakamura-san is the board member. So those are the things that we are doing at 5G ACIA. 5G ACIA has a partnership with various organizations. We have MOU with many of them. We have a cooperative relationship with many. In Japan, FFPA, so Itaya-san is going to make a presentation after me. So he's not necessarily the representative of FFPA. And also a new organization that was established quite recently, XGMF. We also have MOU with them. So with all of these organizations, we have a very close communication and collaboration with them. FAPA, once in 3 months, we have a joint workshop 5G at 5G ACIA. There are user companies that we cannot reach out as 5G ACIA, and with those companies, we are able to communicate and discuss. So that is basically what we do with a partnership. And in those discussions, a company talked about the evaluation assessment of business value of 5G ACIA. That assessment was utilized and was to be utilized to assess what this company does. So such outcome has already been realized. So this collaboration is working quite well in the Japanese industries. 5G ACIA's structure is shown on the slide. We have the board, and below the board, there are 5 working groups. In working group 1, discusses use cases and requirements. In working group 2, ecosystem and regulatory framework are being discussed. In working group 3, system architecture and the integration utilizing 5G is a very practical things are being discussed in working group 3. In working group 4, discussions on liaisons and marketing. So my activity today is within the scope of working group 4. And in working group 5, there is a discussion on industrial 5G in practice. So the business value assessment is falls under the scope of working group 5. And if you can look at the left side, it says 5G ACIA's ambassadors. Last year, this was established, and I was assigned as the very first Japan ambassador. Other than that, countries like China, US have ambassadors. Europe has the Center for 5G ACIA, so they don't have ambassadors. But for regional activities, we have ambassadors assigned. Each region is working on different things. Different activities are implemented that best matches the needs of the region. So in an opportunity like this, we are able to explain with provided a presentation like this based on the understanding of the backgrounds of the region, which is a good thing about this ambassador system. So 5G ACIA, as I mentioned, was established 5 years ago, and what we have achieved so far. For example, we were able to achieve collaboration between ICT and OT. If we hadn't done anything, it was impossible for these 2 industries to communicate. But now there is a good collaboration in place. And also, by identifying various use cases, we are now able to identify what is lacking to achieve those use cases, which is fed back to 3GPP standardization organization. And also integration in shop floors, TSN, OPC-UA, the kind of protocols that run on wireless, how can those be integrated is also being discussed. And in addition to that, test beds. 5G ACIA authorized test beds are created, and tests are being conducted, and the results are put together into a report, which is shared and published. So these are the activities that we have been doing. Now, 5G today, or industrial 5G today, 5G itself, it's been almost 4 years, over 4 years, since the start of the service of 5G, and gradually it's been growing.
で、このローカル 5G って今日お題
Local
ですけども、
5G is the title of today's workshop, but private 5G, people call it quite differently, depending on the region. In very many countries, private application 5G are being prepared. Local 5G spectrum is the title of the slide. However, it's not like the system is the same, exactly the same in other countries compared to Japan. It depends on the region. For example, in the case of China, they don't have a spectrum dedicated to local 5G, but rather whether they do the local 5G, the network should be created by operators. Quite similar to Japan is Germany. A little before Japan, they have allocated a spectrum for local 5G, and it says 412, and in terms of milliwave, it's 22. In the case of Japan, the number is smaller. However, there is a gradual increase.
はい。で、これから少し
And from here, I would like to talk about the actual products or actual solutions.
こういったそのインダストリアル 5G に
Industrial 5G devices are already in the market, quite a few of them. I don't have the time to explain each one of them.
5G ACIA ではですね、こういっ
At
たもの
5G ACIA, we don't have them here in the show, but 4 by 2 meter
壁のようなもの
boards
さまざまな
are
製品を
brought into a booth, and different devices are being attached to those walls, and we call them demo walls.
ご覧いただくと、
So if you look at the demo walls, you'll be able to identify that there are actually various solutions available in industrial 5G.
で、ちょっとまだまだ確定ではない
So it's not final yet,
日本の関係者
but
ですね、
among the Japanese stakeholders,
12月
next year in December, 5G ACIA will be held,
ワークショップも開いてですね、
and the workshop will also be held
製品
where
ソリューションが
visitors will be able to see the actual solutions. So that's something that we are hoping to do. It's not final, it's not fully decided yet, but people are discussing about it, talking about it,
で、
and preparing for that.
それを 5G がどういうふうに
And industrial 5G, what's going to happen going forward?
インダストリアル 5G
Industrial 5G or 5G itself is to be used in verticals. And I do believe that many of you think that there's not much of an advancement. However, recently or at last, I think things are beginning to take off or start. So this is a slide that shows the chicken and egg. So which should come first? So from the user's perspective, they would like to see appropriate solutions. And from solution provider perspective, there is no market in place. The mobile phone market, compared to the smartphone market, the industrial 5G market is extremely small.
そうは言ってもですね、 5G は
However, having said that, 5G could be applied to different areas, and that is, it's a system that is designed for that. So therefore, once there is a 5G ecosystem in place, based on that ecosystem, industrial 5G is gradually growing. So the egg is being made,
さまざまな 5G
and there are many cases where 5G is being utilized.
でございます。ちょっと資料にはしていないんですけ
So it's not on the slide, but the other day,
ど、で会合を行っ
There was a meeting in Beijing, and people from China did a presentation saying that 5G is now being utilized by many factories, about 300 of them. So 300 were selected, and 5G has been introduced. It's taking time. That is true. It's a fact. However, is that a problem unique to 5G? Maybe not. Factories, digital transformation, is it already completed? No. And in the morning, there was a lecture by Nokia representative. Industry 4.0 has a still way to go, has a long way to go. So it's not a problem related to 5G only. So what is important is for the industry to take a step-by-step approach. So what are we going to do going forward? The most important thing is to create the ecosystem. So Industrial 5G has different requirements, individual requirements, but we would like to target the mass market. So AMR, I would say, is a good example. Or requirements could be quite similar, and I think the important approach is to adopt 5G in those areas. And this is my final slide. 5G ACI is relatively an open organization. There are meetings that are held, and if you want to attend the meeting in observer status, it is possible. Please contact me if you're interested. However, without being the member, you will not be able to enjoy all of the documents and all of the information. But it is possible to join the meetings as observers. So if you're interested, please let me know. So please visit our website. You'll be able to download various white papers. Sorry, I took too much time. That is all for me.
白田様、ありがとうございまし
Thank you
た。
very much.
続きまして、
The next speaker
研究開発
is from National Institute of Information and Communications Technology, Network Research Institute, Wireless Networks Research Center, Wireless System Laboratory Research Manager,
研究マネージャー、Itaya
Ms. Satoko Itaya.
Flexible Society
Her topic, Flexible Society Project, Wireless Technology and Solutions Supporting DX.
技術についてご講演いただきます。Itaya様、よろしくお願いいたします。
Ms. Itaya, please. Thank you. And thank you for the introduction. I am going to speak in the Kansai dialect as I normally speak. Excuse me for that. So, my topic today, I would like to start with a self-introduction, and then over the past 10 years, I've been working in factories. I'd like to talk about the expectations for industrial DX, and with regards to what kind of technologies that we want to develop going forward, and share my thoughts on these matters. I just have 15 minutes, so it's very brief, but I like to make an enjoyable presentation as much as possible. Now, it did say on my direction that I should give a self-introduction. So I am working for NICT, the National Institute of Information and Communications Technology, Japan's only public research organization specializing in the field of information and communication. And I've been working at NICT for 10 years. And immediately after joining, I wanted to work on the wireless communication in manufacturing factories. And so I engaged many people and launched the Flexible Society project. Sorry, the Flexible Factory project. So we did experiments in an actual operational factory to consider what are the communication that is being required by the people on the ground. And this is the 9th year, and next year we will welcome the 10th year. And the members have grown. We have 23 participating companies, and it's a volunteer activity of the employees of these companies. So we don't have any external financing. This is a volunteer amongst the employees of these 23 companies. And we have about 80 researchers from these 23 companies working as volunteers. And we go to different factories who are struggling with something or who want to introduce a wireless communication technology and so on. So when we give presentations in trade shows like this, we were asked by people outside of manufacturing, for example, or people from hospitals asking for support. And so we didn't want to be confined to flexible factory. And during COVID in 2020, we changed our name to Flexible Society Project. So medical care, factory, logistics, and infrastructure. We cover all four, and we visit the actual sites to consider how data could be utilized through wireless communication in these four areas.
で、こういった私たち現場主義を
So
貫い
we
て
are Gemba oriented, we are frontlines oriented, and this has been our 9-year activity. And the knowledge that we gain should be shared. So once a year, we discussed with the members on what kind of a report that we should issue. Sometimes we publish 1 or 2 reports per year. So in order for wireless technology to be used safely, we have provided various reports, and these are all available free of charge on FFPJ's webpage. Some of the popular ones are how to cope with troubles. And these are like mistakes that we made. So we don't talk about a specific example of a company, but there are so many activities going on, so we don't name specific names, but we have gathered all the failures and the errors and the mistakes that we have made. And this has actually published on an academic journal as well. It's this kind of trouble or shooting was very popular. And when we do surveys, many people said that they wanted the second report of the troubleshooting or the trouble encountered. And so we have actually issued a second report as well. And about December this year, we will be publishing a new report. We haven't decided on the theme of the next year's report. So if you're interested, please let me know. When you come to our website and download the documents, let us know what kind of report you want to see in the future. Now, I mentioned that the Flexible Factory project is volunteer-based, and we need to standardize the protocols. And so we also launched the Flexible Factory Partner Alliance. As Shirota-san introduced earlier, FFPA for short. FFPA was launched in 2017. And as members, we have Omron, and then there are several companies listed up. And the number of members is much more limited compared to the previous one. And the reason is that manufacturers with subsidiaries, with many subsidiaries, we didn't want them to have all the subsidiaries included, because then they will be able to cast the winning vote. So we wanted only the parent company to join. So the member is quite limited, but the FFPJ's spirit is being implemented here as well. And we have the voice of customer community, where we have a much larger participation, 87 participation as of September. And we have also signed a MOU with the XGMF and FFP in order to analyze the potential for the industrial use of wireless communication, doing promotions together, etc. Now, what is FFPA trying to standardize? It is what we call Smart Resource Flow Platform. Smart Resource Flow Wireless Platform. What is this? In the manufacturing sectors, what we have been working on was that the factories, you think that it's a very controlled environment, but actually there are many wireless systems from various manufacturers. And so there's a mix of different wireless equipments. And if they are on the same frequency, then there are connectivity issues. And so when each of these equipments are optimized in their own way, but when they're gathered in a factory floor, how can we optimize this on the overall basis? We need somebody to be able to manage the productivity of the factory for the overall optimization. And this is what we call the smart resource flow wireless platform. So wireless platform control is not what we are saying here. We are talking about the smart resource flow. And in terms of the composition of this platform, we base this on factories, how factories are laid out. There are large AGVs, there are deliveries, and so central control is quite difficult because the central control will make this rather unstable. It is impossible for central control, so we have a hybrid type control. So to have local policies, so that if it is within the confines of the local policy, there is freedom. So there is a field manager that looks after the entire factory, and then there are local control for more autonomous resource allocation. And this slide does not have a lot of details, but in terms of the wireless communication specifications, we do not have any standardization for that. For the communication, that is up to the customer, that is up to the manufacturers. It is not our position. So we manage the flow on a more upper level. So is this going to be necessary with 5G or 6G or Wi-Fi? It is still necessary because factories use all of them, and we don't want latencies or instability for each of the network. We need a more overall resource flow management, and that is why this SRF is necessary. And we also have the certification program, and version 1 is already being introduced. There are some factories with version 1 certification program. And the main target here is Wi-Fi. The reason is that about 80% of the communication in manufacturing sector is wireless, and 6% is Wi-Fi. So we are first targeting Wi-Fi. And there is the SRF certification program. Telec does the test, and we do the certification. As of May this year, we had the 4 categories, 15 products certified under this standard. And this is looking at the stabilization and communication between base stations and mobile devices using these certified products. The left-hand side without, and the right-hand side with SRF. So as you can see, the latency is reduced, and packet loss is gone, so a smooth switchover is being realized. So this alone does not make a sellable product. Just a standardized or certified product does not necessarily sell. So we need to have IEC international standardization in order to create a commercial product. And so this is something that I'm doing actually beside the FFPA. And so I am part of the IEC SC65C Industrial Networks Wireless Coexistence Program. And I was invited to join, and I was not able to join earlier. And but I have been able to join now. And I was told you should have joined earlier. So I joined during the renewal of this document. And part 4, Central Coordination Type Coexistence Management, as an actual example, or SRF is the input that I have provided to IEC. And so for the document that will be issued in 2025, SRF will be introduced as well. And I have been working with German counterparts. Now, in terms of 5G and local 5G, I talked about Shirota-san talked about the huge expectation toward 5G in the manufacturing sector, and because this is what they believed. Everyone thought that all of this will be realized all at once. But this is very, very confusing for the people who don't know wireless. People who know wireless would think that this is impossible. But for the people who didn't know much about wireless, they thought that the 5G is a dream technology. They were all amateurs in wireless, and you would think, looking at this material, that all of this will be realized at once. But actually, 5G is a trade-off, and all three could not be realized at once. So this was betrayed kind of the huge expectation that people had. And so the difficulty became clear. But this does not necessarily mean that there is no need for 5G. We have 162 applications or use cases, and amongst this, there are some that can be done with wireless, some that can be done with 5G, some that can't be done with even 5G. But for between the 10 to 100 milli, this is where the 5G can be effective, which is a mobile robot requiring bidirectional communication and remote control. And this is where you need uplink communication. And this is where 5G will play an important role, although this has not yet been that effective. So we have been doing a lot of tests. And when we wonder why 5G has not penetrated, but I believe that this is because the wireless environment has been changing. One is that wireless technology is in a maturing stage, and it is already a part of industrial activities. So we need to understand both of these factors. So wireless technology is in the maturing stage, meaning that technology is catching up to user needs. So going forward, what is necessary is usability. We need to make it convenient for the users. And for the consumers, there is usability, but not for the industrial customers. For example, when you use these wireless systems for communication, you don't know where the problem is. You don't have a good visualization, or it is not being able to be maneuvered in the manufacturing sector when there are issues. And same for the medical field. It is the medical equipment management, clinical engineering who handle wireless communication. And when they encounter issues, they're not able to resolve them. So the fact that 5G is being used for industrial use, we need to make it available or on a day-to-day basis. So that is important. And also you need to show that it is a cost-effective technology. So the implementation is still scattered. And sometimes when you use 5G, it doesn't work. And those are the hurdles that people are facing during the operation on the frontline basis. And this is something that needs to be addressed. Going forward, we want to work with the users to move ahead, and we look forward to working with you. So in terms of use case and standardization, we'll continue to promote. And please continue to work with us. Thank you very much.
板谷様、ありがとうございました。続きまし
Thank you
て、
very much, Ms. Itaya. Next, I'd like to invite Mr. Hibi Gaku, General Manager of Technology Development Center of KYOCERA Communication Systems Company Limited, who will speak about case studies of local 5G integration and development of positioning services. Thank you very much. My name is Hibi. I am from KYOCERA Communication Systems Companies Limited. While I was listening to Ms. Itaya's presentation, I was looking at the AI, and with that speed and a Kansai dialect and a translation was provided. So I thought that maybe I could speak in Kansai dialect. I am from Shiga Prefecture, therefore I am a quasi Kansai person. Therefore, I would refrain from doing so. Next. Sorry, I should operate this. Let me introduce our company. 27 or 28, 29 years ago, our company was established. KYOCERA and KDDI established our company, which is a joint venture company, mainly engaged in ICT, IT for factories. And under KDDI, we are providing communications engineering. In both of these, local 5G is being deployed by us, particularly focusing on the use cases in factories. So about myself, I didn't prepare a slide to introduce myself. So I would like to say what kind of projects I have been engaged in instead of introducing myself. This is still right now in Ishikari City in Hokkaido Prefecture. This is being tested. Running on the road is the medium-speed, mid-sized autonomous delivery robot. It's not a small-sized or low-speed. A certain volume of cargo needs to be delivered and also should be allowed to be driven on the highway. So particularly, we are putting focus on use case development of this kind of vehicle, as you see in this picture, for the mobile shop, working together with convenience store, delivering the teas and the confectionaries which are sold at the convenience stores. And this is Pudo, mobile Pudo. Together with logistics companies, we are conducting this kind of experiment on Pudo. So at the outset of these projects, I was also engaged. When I speak about this and in local 5G, are you collaborating with local 5G groups? Unfortunately, we are not addressing accommodating local 5G because, as has been mentioned by the person from MIC, to some extent, if you try to run this kind of vehicle, you need to come up with the institution with systems. Those have to be in place before introducing this. So currently, 4G and 5G alone are used for technology. And another point is about LPWA. One of the communication system under LPWA, Sigfox, I was engaged in the development of this. What kind of applications are there for LP, liquid petroleum gas, utilities? And as you see here, at the bottom, you can see that you are able to provide disaster prevention DX, just placing these sensors for water and underpass or a low elevation area, and also the slope on the riverbank. You are able to know and detect the flood in early course. And what is described above is the pallet management service. These devices in pictures containing GPS and Wi-Fi sensing technology, and also utilizing the base station. The positioning is utilized in order to locate the pallets at low cost. So these kinds of services are provided among our customers who are working in the front line of logistics, who say that they would like to manage the contents or objects inside. So we came up with this idea. So what we have been doing as a company so far? About 4.5 years ago, local 5G system was established. At that timing, local 5G integration service was starting with R&D sites and incubation facilities. We started to introduce test beds and local 5G technological demonstration projects led by MIC, which was utilized for providing these services to the railway, ports, and golf courses in order to establish infrastructure. More recently, the uses in factories are being commercialized, and the local governments are in Kyushu prefecture, Kyushu area particularly, are providing these services. Therefore, we are providing the infrastructure for that, and pallet management needs that I mentioned earlier, and what are currently being developed utilizing local 5G and Wi-Fi for high precision positioning service and plus height or on Z-axis positioning services combined in order to provide highly accurate positioning services indoor and outdoor. The concept here is, as I said, in the case of logistics, it's not a precision in the order of centimeters, but rather on which rack, which level of rack do you have the object. So it's a precision in the order of 1 or 2 meters. So that's the level of a local 5G positioning service. And as much as possible, existing infrastructure should be utilized. That is the assumption for establishing our systems. Why are we doing this? Other reasons are as follows. First is to provide a substitute to GNSS, positioning, navigation, and timing (PNT). A methodology for providing PNT is now necessary globally. For example, in this diagram, showing the jamming and interference by GPS, this is called a flight trader map. In Middle East and Israel, India, and Pakistan, GPS is not usable. In Japan, we do not have such situation, but there were solar flare the other day. This time was okay, but we never know. If we just continue to rely on GNSS or GPS, we won't be able to address such emergency situation once it happens. And another is, as I said earlier, in terms of logistics, we would like to know the rough location or positioning of the people and objects. And also, other people like to have more precise positioning indoors. For example, in terms of tourism, those people who are working in the tourist destination, which museum was he visiting, or which exhibits was he interested in. And disaster prevention purposes include when a disaster hits a large city, in which building and on which floor thereof is a person located. So now 5G positioning solution is going to be introduced today. As I said at the beginning, our company is a system integrator. So in principle, we are not building base stations. Therefore, in local 5G deployment, multi-vendor is the position we see. And we are working with the Israeli company utilizing their technology to develop products or offerings for 5G positioning solutions. In the areas which cannot be covered by GPS, we are going to apply 5G positioning, and the beacon or markers and tags can be used as a means or tools. You don't have to install them. By introducing a local 5G, you'll be able to continue to use the same devices or terminals in order to have the precise location. We believe that this will become necessary in the future. Earlier, I said that the height information service is added, and Metcom is a company where we invested. Together with them, we are providing this service. On the left-hand side, in this chart, you see the high-precision barometer is installed at the top of each building. That is done by Metcom. And together with it, your own smartphones and also devices where barometers are embedded, and the information from barometers will be sent to cloud, and then the height information will be returned. Even now, Tokyo, Osaka, and Nagoya, and parts of other ordinance-designated cities, this service is being offered. Now, I would like to show you the demonstration. the height information is added, and XY indoor high precision coordinates information are added. And then what can we do? Demonstration shows that the person comes from outdoors and then getting onto the elevator and going up. It's not going up, or it's going up now. You're able to see that the person is going up, and then he get off from the elevator on the 7th floor, and then you can track him on the floor. Unfortunately, with a local 5G to identify the positioning, this part is not included in this demonstration video. So I'm sorry. And that is being developed now. So like this, both in outdoor and indoor environment, you'll be able to get the precise information on the position. This is the excerpt from the website of the Emulet. So how people and what people are doing in the 3D space. We wanted to visualize that. By doing so, those visitors at the location, the information guidance can be provided to visitors, and also for the building facility management, security guards and cleaners, under which labor conditions. So those kind of things can be visualized. Lastly, regarding the use case of the positioning services in manufacturing industry, these are cliche and well understood, therefore I'm not repeating this. Asset tracking, asset management, and also the worker safety and security. And as we heard from Ms. Itaya, AMR and collaboration with AMR, these are considered to be needs. And the positioning solution utilizing local 5G is being developed. And in terms of inquiries, from those who are carrying their own smartphones or working at the factories, suppose that they fall, and such fall of the workers should be detected. That is a kind of needs we hear at the exhibition or expo. The vocal guidance based upon the positioning service provided by smartphones, and vocal guidance as well as the guidance to the exhibitions will be provided. To conclude, at the introduction, I forgot to tell this. At JETA, 5G Utilization Social Design Promotion Consortium was established, and I am working as the co-chair of this. And at the booth, we are exhibiting these kind of development work that we have been doing. So please stop by and visit us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the presentation, Mr. Hibi. Now, I would like to invite from Satellite Consultation Business Development Office, Aerospace and National Security Business Unit, Executive Professional Technology Evangelist of NEC Corporation, Mr. Koichiro Fujimoto. His presentation is titled Quantum Annealing and Local 5G Transform Factories into Live Factories. Over to you, Mr. Fujimoto, please. Thank you. That was a very long title. So I should have given you a shorter title. Anyway, my name is Fujimoto from NEC Corporation. Thank you very much for having me. And I thought I was given 25 minutes for my presentation. That's so my presentation is based on 25 minutes, so I will have to rush with the presentation. So I am from Kansai area. I'm third person in a row to be from Kansai. Today, I would like to talk a little bit about what we do at the NEC Corporation, but rather I would like to talk about local 5G penetration study group. is being implemented with Nakao-san serving as the moderator, and I would like to share with you what we do in that study group in addition to what we do at NEC Corporation. Basically, I was scolded by boss, which made me start to think how technology is to be used. I found out how important it is to be able to communicate how technology can be utilized. So when I did that, I always had that in mind, which made me to technology evangelist, and that is what I do at NEC Corporation. So as a person trying to penetrate local 5G, what do I do? Is what I would like to share with you. Already, the three speakers have shared many points, but I would like to share with you some specific examples. So I have divided my presentation into these three, the struggle and difficulties of implementing, so which is actually the kind of activities that we do at the study group for local 5G penetration. And then I would like to talk about how we can achieve a critical mass with the business. And then lastly, I would like to talk about factories. How can we adopt the technology into factories, and what is the future of factories? So how we see this as an NEC Corporation from end user perspective. And we are now trying to adopt local 5G for industrial use. And we've been talking about that for years. But unfortunately, even after 5 years, we haven't been able to achieve this. As Itaya mentioned, and many users are saying that they're extremely disappointed. People said that initially that 5G can do anything, which was not a right approach. And this is something that I've been thinking. So internet geek. So that's how I started as an internet geek, and I thought it was not fun. So as a reasoning, probably we are trying to climb a very steep mountain without any necessity. And what about killer contents? There are no killer contents in the communications, and yet it is developing. So including entertainment, I think we should do something more fun and something interesting. And that is what I have been thinking. So which is something that is quite similar to the way of thinking of Mr. Nakao. So people get together. There are representatives of competitive companies, and we all get together in the study session. We started this study group several years ago. But after about 2 years, we are able to implement these activities. So I skipped to the first two, but there was in the third workshop, this is what we did. We brought in robots. We have done various verifications. So we haven't put together a report yet, but more than 170 people got together. Many companies were represented, and we have used the NTT Central R&D Lab. We used a huge space to do an outdoor demonstration. I think it is too busy, the slide. I don't think you'll be able to see. We checked the technology of connectivity, and we also talked about the scaling of use cases. And those are the things that we have been doing at the study group. So many people brought in various equipments. We have reflection boards, different antennas were brought in. So everybody really enjoyed it. Although it's not hard, it's quite hard to do the demonstration. And then commercialization. What are the difficulties that we are facing to commercialize this? Since this is a new business, so we are trying to verify our hypothesis. So if we do this, this is a kind of result that we may achieve. One of the things that we are working on is entertainment. So we are thinking of possibly doing something in the entertainment and realize something that is live. So we have in our company company team of some sports. So we set up a base station there, and we have been doing that. But we have been quite successful with the golf. So we took it to a golf tournament, and we find out that the broadcasting was facing various problems, which I would like to explain a bit from here. This is one of the examples of commercializing the technology. Live streaming of golf. I'm sure that many of you play golf. I don't, so sorry about that, but I'm sure many of you do. But if you go to a golf tournament that's been streamed, so for a tournament that lasts for 3 days or 4 days, dozens of kilograms of cables are being installed, and these cables are installed every time there is a tournament, and they need to be removed as well. So golf is a profit-making business, so therefore they can do it, but it's a huge waste. And since people are tight on their budgets, and there is a requirement to cut costs, and to do that, they did it using wireless technology. So last year, we started with a tournament that was sponsored by us. What we did was we took the one on the right is a backpack type of terminal for transmission of images. So the photographer carrying this on their backs would transmit images to the equipment on the left-hand side. So this is a base station for 5G, A4 sized base station, and we brought this in. Very simple, but the challenge was very simple, and it was very visible. The results, the benefits were quite visible. We did this again, and we have helped with the communication network in the VIP hospitality area. We do facial recognition as well. So for access, we used facial recognition, no need for wires or cables. And we also did the facial recognition payments. And sometimes what happens in places like this is that they are not able to do the certification because of issues related to network. So this is already a paid service. We are providing solutions to stadiums, and those of you who watch golf tournaments, I'm sure you know. But people who recognize it, they would see it. The cameras are not carrying any wires. It's easier for them to approach closer to players, which was not possible with the wired cameras. So in a women's golf tournament, when camera approaches the player, she would wave her hand because the camera it comes very close to her. So there are some new values that have been generated because of the system, not only budget-related benefits. So this is probably going to be a driver to switch to 5G. And another case related to entertainment is a venue. So in an entertainment venue, what happens if we install 5G? This is Tokyo Big Site. Local 5G is already available there. Last year's mobility show, there was the press conference, and we used the technology, and auto manufacturers did a demo exhibition. So if they have a power source, anything can do it. So demo vehicles can be loaded on moving vehicles. So we did a press release on that, and we are seeing actual results. And this is another type of business that we are already running. For Big Site, they charged 100,000 yen for doing the cable work or wire work, but sometimes they were making losses. But this is just leasing of SIM and terminals, and the cost is very, very low. And the third example, which is related to the main topic of today's workshop, AMR, 10 millisecond and so on, which was explained by former previous speakers. But AMR is has started its operations in NEC factories, something that could not be done with Wi-Fi, and we switched to local 5G, and that is the reason we are able to start the operation of AMR. On the left-hand side, sorry, on the right-hand side, there are some photographs. AGB is actually running on Wi-Fi, and the one that on the left is running on 5G. So it's a hybrid environment. So we are using both wireless and we are utilizing both, looking at the cost and the benefits. And the main topic of my presentation is this. So utilizing the technology in factories is not just for cost reduction, and it's very hard to see the value in this. But we want to realize a live factory. What does that mean? Factories, when they start the operation, there's a need for change. They need to also to do the switchovers. Sometimes there is a utilization loss, or a schedule change may cause huge losses. So this could be improved by utilizing quantum annealing to realize flexible infrastructure using 5G. So let me talk about quantum annealing technology. So it's a bit interesting. I'm sure you'll find it interesting. So what we're trying to do is, for example, in factories, there would be many combination-related problems. So this is an example. For example, sales rounders. How can they go around Japan with minimum cost? And on the right-hand side, the work shift problem. And on the left-hand side, we have the backpack problem. So these are all related to combination, and it requires a lot of thinking. So there are some incidents or events, and you need to make a decision, which is quite difficult, which is a kind of problem easily solved utilizing quantum annealing technology. So solutions can be provided instantly, which is can bring about a lot of benefits. So what we would like to do is AI, general AI is you have a data that AI would learn from, and based on that data, optimal answer will be provided. So all the visualized samples will be provided, and that could be analyzed by AI. And then the events that come out of that, what kind of actions will be taken? That is a part where annealing machine will come in. So AI would come up with events, and then if it's human beings that are to come up with countermeasures, that would require more time. So by utilizing quantum annealing technology, we'll be able to instantly come up with a solution. So how are we going to apply the technology in factories? So in factories, there's a need to decide what to be made at what volume. For example, there are different production plans, and you have predictions on how much demand there will be in the future, and there will be different models. And a certain analysis can be made for future plans. And then how can we match that with the utilization of the existing factory, which is the difficult part? And the solution can be provided by quantum annealing technology. So we already have all of these products that need to be made, since we are a manufacturer as well. So we have NEC platforms that is making all of these devices. There are many orders, and the production plan is to be made. And different models, if different models are made in the same line, are very efficient, but we may not be on time for the deadline. But if you stick too much on the deadline, you do a lot of changeovers. Changeovers require a lot of time, which may result in compromising the efficiency of the production. So probably make the same model up until very close to the due deadline, and then do the changeover and start producing another product. So every day the factories are doing this, creating plans as such. And the human beings were spending an hour to come up with a plan like this, but with this technology, they can come up with a solution right away, which makes the production more efficient. And we are trying to identify the benefits that this technology would bring. And we have been able to, we have already rolled out this technology in 4 of our factories, and we have been able to improve the utilization by 15%. So we are now deploying the technology, but the overall supply chain and the changeovers in factories of the production lines, which happens quite often. So when you do the changeover, how we're going to run the AMRs need to be changed on real-time basis. So robots as infrastructure also need to be changed. So as of today, we have already seen improvement in the utilization, but we would like to deliver more positive results. And then what would happen? So there is already a production plan in place, and then we receive a huge order. Usually, we will not be able to accept that order. And that order would result in a changeover of the lines. And up until today, we reject, we say no to that order. But by having 5G infrastructure in the production line, we can be more flexible. If we can do that, we'll be able to accept that order. If we take too much time in providing that response, it would be meaningless. We have to make sure that the answer yes to the order should be made instantly. So if we can realize end-to-end efficiency, I think 5G would be even more beneficial. So already in some of the production lines, we have already adopted this, and we would like to further promote the technology. So it's probably easier said than done, but we would like to make the towns more live, factories are to be made live. So it's not like we would like to change the way of thinking that is too rigid as of today. We want to be more flexible. Before we close, since I belong to the department where we do outer space, so 5G, 6G, we are talking about going outer space. So satellite constellation is something that I'm working on as well, a little separate from factories. But the society as a whole to utilize the wireless technology, and utilizing the technology, we can solve environmental issues and we can change our lifestyles. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to expand the usage of 5G technology. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much. Next, Rain Technology Corporation Business Execution and Operations Senior Manager Brian Huang. The topic is Local 5G Network Solutions. Mr. Huang, over to you.
Hi everyone, this is Brian Huang from GRANS, a subsidiary of HTC Group. 皆さんこんにちは。私は HTC GRANS の市場開拓部署のシニアマネージャー。
I am Senior Manager of Business Execution Operations at Rain Technologies. I would like to talk about what we have been doing on developing local 5G network solutions and what we have been providing to various industries. Thank you for this opportunity.
GRANS は R&D によって立ち上げられた HTC の内部スタートアップ企業です。
is a startup from HTC, and we have a team of experts with over 20 years of experience working in communication products. We would like to provide stable local 5G network communication to support enterprise digital transformation.
GRANS は
GRANS values open architecture spirit, and we are focusing on the development of software for base stations. We approach Europe, US, and Asia, where we have many partners, and we provide various solutions to customers. With the open architecture, we are able to provide cost-effective solutions, and various level 5G core, server, and wireless units are offered. Especially when it comes to local 5G, we are able to provide the best quality in terms of solutions. We have 3 business models. The first one is RAIN Core series. We have a standardized starter kit, which is cost-effective and portable. Small-scale commercial or demonstration or innovation center within enterprise is where this starter kit has the best fit. And the second is end-to-end customized solution. For more complicated scenarios, this is the best fit. Based on the customer's needs, we make proposals with the optimal network combination, and we offer consulting services. Third is provision of software license. For large corporations, for telecoms, and for system integrators that procure a large amount of software is the best fit. Here, we happily provide just the local 5G network. Next, I'd like to introduce RAIN Core S2, which is our bestseller. So we integrate all the software in one server and with a outdoors wireless unit. This system is light and portable. If you just press the power button, within 20 minutes, you can enjoy 5G service. In order to expand the coverage, we have 4, or you can also attach 4 wireless units. And by the end of the year, we will be expanding to attachment of 8 wireless units for further coverage. 40,000 square meters will be the maximum coverage, which is about the size of Tokyo. In terms of outdoor space, we have the optional or high-capacity outdoor unit. From indoors to outdoors, from small scale to large scale, we are able to offer a comprehensive solution with this product. Our local 5G digital transformation architecture is stable, low latency, and we provide very stable service. As a result, various 5G application terminals and application control platforms can be combined. And corporate customers are able to promote digital transformation on a simple architecture.
G-RAINS
has been established since 2022, and our products are sold not just in Taiwan, but globally. The applications cover a wide range of sectors, and I would like to show you just a few examples. First, G-RAINS large-scale project. Kaohsiung Exhibition Center and Taipei's National Theater and Concert Hall are examples of local 5G on-campus scale. These are Taiwan landmark facilities, and 35 5G base stations were provided. Another example is to combine with HTC Group's VR technology to provide 5G plus VR wireless streaming services. Our optimized 5G communication allows maximum of 20 users to enjoy PC VR high quality experience without connecting to PCs. And this is great for entertainment or training and joint design of buildings or architecture. This year, we partnered with a Japanese automotive company for 3D visualization with VR. And this report will be released soon. Next, we would like to show you one example of the VR mission training. G-Rains partnered with a US company specializing in law enforcement training. Using local 5G network, training does not need to carry a large computer, and the training is able to provide service to a multiple number of participants. This is a video from Mexico using our technology.
V-Armed establishes the new standard for large-scale virtual reality training in law enforcement and military. In the past, V-Armed relied on tethered backpacks, limiting movement and immersion. Now, with G-Rains providing a secure, private 5G network, true wireless freedom is unlocked. Streaming wirelessly to 10 VR headsets allows a group to mirror real-world scenarios with natural movement and deep immersion. This marks a pivotal moment for VR and 5G, shaping the future of professional training. With G-Rains at the forefront, V-Armed empowers law enforcement and military personnel with unparalleled preparedness to serve and protect.
In terms of culture and entertainment, G-Rains partnered with Blanca Lee, which is a famous dancing company in Paris, and we created a dreamlike Le Bal de Paris, which is an amazing cultural dance performance. The audience wears Chanel's dress on a virtual basis. The audience is led by two professional dancers going across different dreamlike scenarios to enjoy a seamless experience. The next one is smart factory. 5G deployment in manufacturing sector is an important use case. We partnered with a Taiwanese automotive factory to create a smart factory. Over 150 AI cameras are connected, as well as AMR control, and VR training for new employees are being provided using local 5G network. In addition to AMR on the ground, we also have drone fleet that are connected to the 5G network in the sky. Using indoor and outdoor units, out of those units, we have more agility for the drones. Drones take the footage using local 5G network. The videos are sent to the centers real time, allowing for more effective disaster rescue, military defense, and geographic mapping. When there are natural disasters, the communication network may be disrupted. Having a local 5G network would enable smooth communication in case of disasters. Lastly, let me talk about the various certifications and awards that we have won internationally, testifying to the fact that we have commercial competitiveness. Also, in terms of the commercial readiness, we have telecom grade 99.999% reliability. This concludes my presentation. We very much would like to work with the various industry associations in Japan, and we hope that G-RANGE provides the optimal solution to you for 5G networks. Please do let us know if you have any inquiries, and we would like to discuss further. Thank you very much.
Thank
you very much, Mr. Huang. Next, we would like to hear from Verizon Business Group 5G Technology Product and Marketing Organization, Mr. Thomas Fuerst, who will speak about 5G networks, key learnings in an emerging market. Today, we have received a video message. Please look at the screen.
Hello, my name is Thomas Fuerst. I'm part of the 5G product and marketing organization at Verizon Business. I'd like to talk to you a little bit today about private 5G industrial networks and some of the key learnings we've made in an emerging market in the US. So when you think about Verizon in the 5G industry, the first thing to recognize is we're very strong on network quality, having the most reliable 5G network. And this has been borne out through organizations such as RootMetrics and others. Number two is we work closely across the ecosystem with partners such as Deloitte and HCL and others to bring applications and platforms into our 5G network. Number three is we've made lots of investments in laboratories and testing facilities, both within Verizon and locations such as Boston, Los Angeles, and San Francisco, but also with third parties such as Deloitte and their Smart Factory in Wichita, Kansas. Fourth point is we work very closely with partners such as AWS and Google Cloud Platform when it comes to integrating optional mobile edge computing with our private 5G networks. The fifth point is the investment we make in standards bodies and active participation in organizations such as 3GPP, ITU, GSMA, and others. And the last point is that when we sell a private 5G network, we don't just sell the network, we sell it as a managed service. So we wrap professional services around everything we do at Verizon with our networks. When we talk to our customers about why they choose Verizon for managed private 5G networks, the first consideration is almost always coverage. They need it in the most demanding environments, both indoors and outdoors, and they need it to be consistent. Number two is connectivity. A lot of them are using Wi-Fi and other connectivity technologies today, but they need something that's more secure and more reliable. Number three is process. They want to be able to take all the information coming from these devices and process it into decisions and actions faster and more securely. And the fourth one is around delivery, delivering business outcomes to the business. So it's not just about technology, but it's about delivering value for the business. Across the bottom here, you can see some of the different private 5G use cases that we've been focused on in the last few years, whether that's in the smart factory, things like computer vision or QoS prioritization, in the supply chain with autonomous transporters or ubiquitous connectivity, or even just providing better data security, building private networks that keep the information for that enterprise on that premise so they have better security and can better deliver those business results. Okay, here's where I want to spend a little bit of time delving into some of the key learnings that Verizon has made in the early days of private 5G. First learning is any kind of transformation must always consider both the process and the people. So it's key to engage widely with clear value for different organizations within the customer. Effectively, when you put in a private 5G network, you're joining the customer in their digital transformation, which is often a multidisciplinary undertaking within that customer. For instance, in the factory space, the IT department is typically responsible for the Wi-Fi network, which has a lifespan of maybe 3 to 5 years using off-the-shelf hardware. In contrast, the OT, or the operational technology department, is responsible for all the production equipment, the automation equipment. They use technologies such as Ethernet, PLCs, and SCADA networks. This OT network typically has a life cycle of about 10 years using purpose-built hardware. So it's key to understand both sides of that when you go to talk to your customer. The other opportunity too is making sure you get the executive buy-in for whatever you're doing for that customer. Sustainability can be key. When you look at Ethernet technology today using copper cables, there's a lot of weight and cost and other issues from a sustainability perspective that get wrapped up in Ethernet. Second key point, and I'm going to talk a little bit here about the US market. I don't know how it is in Japan, but predominantly the industrial workers in the US factories are digital natives, right? These are the Gen Z population that were born sometime between 1996 and 2010. They're very comfortable with having their device. Maybe if they're having trouble with some type of technology, they're used to going and watching a self-help video to get a fast and accurate answer. They're maybe less experienced and perhaps less comfortable with asking coworkers for advice in person. So it's key that they have their devices. But McKinsey's talent trends research by McKinsey showed that in the US, about 3 in 5 Gen Z workers in manufacturing feel disengaged, and this is costing manufacturers about $20 to $40 billion per year. Yet about half the factories today do not allow workers to have their personal device on the factory floor. They have to lock them up during their shift. However, if they do have them, then they can use them from this digital native perspective to find answers and things like that, or to get in touch with loved ones in the case of an emergency. So a Verizon private 5G network improves the indoor coverage for Verizon customers, but also, if coupled with a neutral host network, for other customers as well of other operators. The third point I want to make is about avoiding what we call a field of dreams approach. So I know Japan is a great baseball-loving society. You might be familiar with this movie called Field of Dreams. This idea that if you build it, they will come. And so really what we're talking about here is avoiding just building a network and then trying to figure out what are the use cases they're going to go on there. They're going to prove in that network. So you want to make sure you have a clear view on 3, 4, 5 different use cases that are going to be leveraging that private 5G network. This is probably a little bit counterintuitive, but it actually reduces the risk of the project if there are more use cases showing value for that. Also, it's key to have a mix of both tactical type use cases like push to talk or smart signage, but also strategic ones like augmented reality or connected tools or virtual reality for maintenance and training purposes, things like that. One of the more successful customers that we have in this space identified more than 7 different use cases, each providing measurable business value. What was interesting too, back to my earlier point about people and process or people and technology, they actually held an internal 5G expo, private 5G expo, where all the different employee stakeholder teams actually were able to come and see the different use cases and talk and understand them and understand the value that they were going to bring to the company overall. Okay, fourth point, and maybe a little bit controversy here because I'm talking at a conference focused on 5G and even 6G. 5G is a great place to start the conversation, but it's not always where we end up, right? It's key that you look closely at what the customer needs in terms of bandwidth and latency and performance, and you don't over-engineer or even under-engineer the network. A lot of assets that customers have today, such as Wi-Fi, can be redeployed into the office scenario, right? Some customers are also, on the other hand, are pursuing 5G as what we call kind of a future forward approach, investing in the latest technology, knowing that as technology moves forward, that technology can serve both today's needs and tomorrow's needs as well. Others are looking at it as more of an evolution, starting with some use cases on 4G, maybe evolving some to 5G non-standalone, and ultimately to a 5G standalone network. So it's key to keep your options open when you're talking to a customer about a private network. And the last point is about spectrum. And not all government spectrum is created equal, right? In many countries, including in Japan, the government regulator sets aside spectrum for industry. In Japan, I understand there's both mid-band and millimeter wave spectrum available, and also a type of unlicensed band called Shared Extended Global Platform. Some countries make it very easy to apply for and get this government-regulated spectrum. In the UK, for instance, a company can get up to 100 megahertz of spectrum for basically the cost of a cup of coffee per day. In the US, the government spectrum is known as Citizens Broadband Radio Service, or CBRS. It's a great choice if cost is an issue or if the use case is generally intended to replace a best effort Wi-Fi network. There are different tiers of CBRS, one unlicensed, GAA, and there's a mid-tier called Priority Access License, but even that can be subject to interference. So if high availability, high bandwidth, and low latency is required, then licensed spectrum is the best choice. So I realize there's probably a number of Japanese multinational companies in the audience today. I just want a minute to talk about spectrum in the United States. Verizon owns low band, mid band, and high band spectrum, but there's also a type of unlicensed spectrum available called CBRS. I mentioned it a second ago. It actually sits in that mid band across the middle there. CBRS is great. It's easy to get access to. There's a unlicensed tier that anybody can use, and then there are other tiers that higher tier that can actually preempt that lower tier. A couple things just to be aware of. Because of that preemption, because of lower power from CBRS, there's actually you can get into a case where there's a lower availability of CBRS network. So it's a great choice for best effort networks, but if you want some type of mission critical application requiring reliability, security, and privacy, you're gonna want to go with licensed spectrum. The technical paper I mentioned here on the site is available on the Verizon website, delves into some of these details even more. I quickly want to spend a couple minutes just talking about one of our key customers here in the US. This is the Cummins organization. They make engines, filtration, power generation products. There's a factory they have in Jamestown, New York. It's an engine plant. It's about 93,000 square meters plus an outdoor yard going alongside that. And they produce about 500 engines per day. They're planning to expand into 2 new production lines to build fuel agnostic engines. And so they were looking to get over the challenges they had with cabling these facilities with Ethernet, or where they've tried to use Wi-Fi for things like AMRs or scanners. They got inadequate connectivity, they got dead zones. So they came to us looking for a better solution. And this is where we went in and built building the private 5G network. Not only supporting things like the connectivity with the AMRs, but they have the push to talk. They've got the idea that the employees want to have access to their personal phones. So we've actually bundled a private wireless network together with a neutral host network. So now they got better connectivity for all the different operators. As you can see, there's a number of different use cases that they have that they're leveraging this network for. So it's a great example of a high capacity factory requiring better connectivity, and where private 5G together with neutral host network has been the right solution for Cummins. Okay, I just want to close with a couple key points. Key things to keep in mind. Number one, Verizon understands industrial 5G requirements. We're working in standards organizations. We're working with customers. We've done trials, proof of concepts. We're involved in industry demos and talks and panels such as this. Number two, Verizon's private 5G supports both licensed and unlicensed spectrum. So we're very flexible from that perspective. We can integrate on-premise and public networks together. We can provide interoperability networks between 5G and Wi-Fi, both indoor and outdoor. And finally, private 5G is now the right choice for industrial networks. The ecosystem is maturing, the partner and the system integrator skills are scaling up, and there's now recognition from industrial OEMs that this is the right time to invest in it. With that, I thank you for this opportunity to talk at this conference, and if you have any questions, you can contact me at my email address on the initial slide. Thank you, and have a great day.
Thank you very much. With this, Global Frontline of Factories, Manufacturing Industries, and Business Development, we have concluded the 6 presentations. We would now like to take a short break. The next program will start at 3:50. Now, if you are going to leave your seats, please put your simultaneous interpretation receiver on the seat. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for waiting. We would like to begin the program. Global Frontline of Factories, Manufacturing Industries, and Business Development. We are going to have panel discussion. This program will be facilitated by Mr. Takehiro Nakamura, leader of CSO, XG Mobile Communications Promotion Forum, Odaiba IX Core Project, or NTT Docomo Inc. And as a commentator, Mr. Gota Iwanami, a leader or president of XG Infocity Inc. or XG Mobile Communications Promotion Forum, Odaiba IX Core Project. Mr. Nakamura and Mr. Iwanami, please have the floor. Yes, thank you for the kind introduction. My name is Nakamura. I'm from Docomo. Thank you very much for participation in this panel discussion. Today, this project has been referred to as local 5G in their presentations, local 5G and a millimeter wave. We started with 5G, but the take-up or uptake or penetration of this technology has not been advanced yet. This is commonly observed in Japan and world over, and we would like to lead this to success from Japan. XMF Odaiba X Core, IX Core, 5G ACIA, and FSPA, and there are various other groups. Together with them, we would like to cooperate and promote this initiative, and we organized this session in order to provide such a kickstart or trigger. The panelists include 4 speakers whom we heard earlier. From 5G ACIA, Shirota-san is here. Qualcomm Japan. From FSPA, NICT, Ms. Itaya is with us. And from KYOCERA Communication Systems, Hibi-san, who spoke earlier. And from NEC Corporation, Mr. Fujimoto, who spoke earlier as well. So wireless communication for manufacturing industry, local 5G. They are all experts in this area, so they are well versed in this topic. So I'm very much looking forward to hearing his XML, the XG Mobile Communications Odaiba IX Core project. Iwanami-san is also participating as a commentator. And what about the Odaiba IX Core project? So that was not explained. Therefore, I would like to ask Iwanami-san to explain first what it is. InfoCity is the company I lead, and together with Nakamura-san, Odaiba IX Core project, we are co-leaders of this project. So after this, XGMF and also Odaiba IX Core project will be explained briefly. XGMF, I think this was explained in the morning session as well, but XGMF, 5GMF was the starting organization. And 6G or Beyond the 5G Promotion Consortium were the starting bodies. I mean, these two organizations were merged together in order to start this SGMF. And one of the projects carried out by this forum is Odaiba IX Core project. When we named this project as such, we wondered, and we came up with this strange name. But IX, industry transformation, is the key word we wanted to include in the name. But why do we call it Odaiba? When we met together in person and we wanted to have such an in-person gathering and working together at a place called Odaiba. Therefore, we named this project as the place where we met. Local 5G millimeter wave and also under the former 5G MF, a millimeter wave ad hoc led by Mira-san, and also application commission led by myself. And after this, we will introduce telegraphic project, which was started from the end of last year. On the extension of that project, we are still continuing on this project with the mission. XGMF was eyeing at the 6G and the organization promoting the R&D and implementation, but they decided to include 5G as well. Millimeter wave and local 5G and other well-advanced 5G application or usage in the practical area in order to put them into the practical business application. And that is the mission of this project.
RQ application and so on. The common is telegraphic. We do have a website available, so please do a search and look at the website. And Telegraphic Weekly is an email magazine that we provide free of charge. We started this in December last year. Up until September last month, every month, we have been holding this in different places. In September, Hibi-san's place, KYOCERA in Yokohama, we went there and we did this event. Odaiba, there is Docomo's great facility, so that's the permanent location for us. And for example, going forward, we would like to go to places like manufacturing sites. We would like to go to places like that as we proceed. So I hope that you would participate in XGMF and Odaiba IX Core project. And if not, you may want to access telegraphic website, or if you can probably register to receive the email magazine of telegraphic. So I would now like to hand over to Nakamura-san. Iwanami-san, thank you very much. So XGMF, those of you who are not yet members of XGMF in the audience, please join us. And please become the member of Odaiba IX Core as well. We are promoting the use of millimeter wave as well as local 5G. So I hope that you will join us in our efforts. So this is going to be a panel discussion. So we would like to start the discussions. So this is the list of panelists, the four of us are going to have some discussions, and we have Ibanami-san as a commentator and as a leader of XGMF and Odaiba X Core leader. I would like to ask him to provide some comments. So we have less than 30 minutes. So I actually prepared 8 questions, but I'm quite sure we'll not be able to cover them all. But let me start with the first question. So this is a very basic question. In your lectures, you talked about this. So I would like you to summarize some of the points that you may have discussed in your lectures. So implementation of 5G in manufacturing is not proceeding as we had expected. It's a very gradual process. But how do you see the current adoption of 5G in manufacturing, and what are the main challenges? I would like to ask each of the organization representatives to make a comment. So Shirota-san, can you answer to that question? My name is Shirota from 5G CIA. To that point, I did mention this in my presentation, but 5G, to implement 5G in factories, initially, there were not enough products. It was just a concept that existed. And another thing I would like to mention is that in existing factories, if we are to bring in 5G to existing facility, it can be done, but it's not easy. We need to move around the production lines and to introduce 5G is not easy, and people would become conservative about it. In new factories, it is relatively easy. You can do the whole design to bring in 5G. So if that is the case, designing of the factory would take a long period of time. And 5G, as products mature, our products are becoming mature recently. So this is really for the future. As I mentioned in my presentation, already in China, 300 factories have adopted 5G. So as is mentioned in the question, it is gradually beginning, and according to my understanding. Thank you very much. Now, it's not an organization, but KYOCERA Communications. Can you explain your challenges that you face on daily basis? Hibi-san, please. My name is Hibi from KCES. So I see that there's not much of a progress. I understand that. And one of the things that we talked about is the illusional triangle. The understanding on that is not fully understood by the providers or the beneficiaries. So there was not a good understanding. And another thing is that the users. So you say local 5G, but people have a strong image of 5G. So things that can be done by 5G should be accomplished. And in addition to that, what functions are there to be enjoyed by manufacturing industry? That is a kind of mindset. This is a case where I lost an order. It's not manufacturing, it's a sports facility. It could be defined as a sports facility. What they do is they have visitors come to the facility and they would like to stream a high-speed video to the visitors. Of course, we did say that local 5G can do that, but if you look into it, visitors or users have Android smartphones, iPhones, and so on, and we ended up saying that it's impossible. Today, terminals can use 5G. So we are overcoming different hurdles to realize that. And this is something that we discussed in the morning as well. Docomo released the SIM apply, and local 5G is and SIM, it can usually be switched between the two. Such kind of system can be introduced. So since the device can use 5G, it can also be used with local 5G. That is a kind of mechanism we should achieve. And we should be, I think things would become better if we could work on that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Fujimoto-san, I'd like you to respond as well. Broadband Association and local 5G penetration workshops, you have the position in those as well. So I'd like to speak from a variety of perspectives. So we are a manufacturing company. NEC is a manufacturing company. So speaking from that perspective, actually, local 5G was introduced in our factory in 2020 for the first time. And I mentioned 4 use cases, and we're doing just the bottom right-hand one in our factory. And factories want to be wireless, and we tried all 4 use cases. And then we narrowed down because we had to evaluate based on latency and impact. And so we were able to assess that AMR is a good use case. So we narrowed down on AMR, and then we identified which factory. And then it was in 2023 that this was first introduced in an operating factory when it was newly opened. So as Shirota-san said, it is very difficult to introduce for an existing factory. And also we need to look at the cost effectiveness and need to identify the location where there is cost effectiveness. So it took us 3 years. Even though we wanted to be users as a provider, it still took us 3 years. So we also have the face of an integrator. So how do we sell this to our customers? So in the beginning, we also lacked understanding. And for the implementation phase, you need to become very familiar. And manufacturing companies were open to 20 million, 30 million yen investment if they were looking for high-end solutions. We were not able to meet their expectations. So there were many system failures or issues. And unfortunately, the first users were disappointed. And they are now quite negative toward the technology, which is a shame. So for us, it took us 3 years to actually find an actual use case. And we were also working with customers to identify their use case as well. So we said that local 5G is great from too early on in the technology, which is something that we reflect on as something that we could have improved. Now, what are we doing today? There are now major manufacturing companies who have shifted toward local 5G. And this was the head office, IT, and the local organizations, IT, did not have a good relationship. And it took them 2-3 years to finally reach some progress and make introductions possible. So during this time, the technology has advanced and use case has advanced. As Itaya-san said, we know where the best use cases are now. And in terms of the cost, initially it was like tens of millions of yen, but now we are able to provide a service with about 3 million yen. And so the cost is lower and the technology is much more stable. And many of the obstacles in the technology has been overcome, I believe. Thank you very much. So that's very encouraging. So let me go to the next question. So as Iwanami-san said, we are doing various activities. We have workshops every month, and we have a lot of exchanges. but still penetration is slow and it is taking time. So 5G is available. Please use 5G. Even if you try to promote this, it is difficult to gain their understanding. So something I'm thinking now is maybe we should use the word DX rather than 5G. Maybe DX will be more appealing. And then we can say that wireless communication is a must for manufacturing DX. But maybe this is because we are in the ICT industry. That's why we believe that wireless is necessary. But I'd like to ask the manufacturing companies whether this is an absolute must. And so I would like to ask Itaya-san to comment, especially with regards to 5G. Well, DX may be a big challenge as well. So there is a strong need to gain numerical data. And rather than having people take that data, there are many companies that want to be able to capture the data on a wireless basis. So ICT industry participants need to be first have the language to communicate with the manufacturing sector. You need terminology and language that manufacturing people can understand, and that is a gap that needs to be filled. So when it comes to wireless communication, yes, I think for the manufacturing sector, it's a must. And especially for things that are portable or mobile, manufacturing companies do want wireless because cables can be dangerous. And so when AGV is running, if it stops, you have to go 1 kilometer by foot or by bicycle. And sometimes, in the worst case, there is a person walking side by side with the AGV to ensure the communication. So there are now various issues. And for outdoors, there is a need for cellular networks. And when we explain the use case for 5G and local 5G, it is when you need remote control or operation. That, I think, is the most powerful use case when it comes to the manufacturing sector. So what can be done? And how the system should be built. If you can make a proposal, a comprehensive proposal, I think it will be easier to gain the buy-in of manufacturing companies.
Thank you very much. I think it is promising, but we need to make appeals inclusive of how this technology can be utilized. And I think this is a good segue to the third question. Local 5G millimeter wave to be utilized more widely in manufacturing industry. If you're trying to sell them, it will be difficult. So attractive use case and application need to be proposed, as Ms. Itaya mentioned. Then application and use cases, how are we going to develop those use cases and application? That is the challenge. And with whom and how we are going to attract the attention of potential users. I think, Iwanami-san, you have been leading application area for many years. Could you please make your comment on that? Right. Not only for 5G, but killer applications for potential technology area, that is the topic that we have been discussing for years. Not only us, I think that there are a few people who are able to respond to that question. Anyhow, local 5G to be promoted further, I think MIC is also supporting that in 2021, 25, and 28 or 53 in total in 2 years. Projects were ongoing. There was a technological demonstration and also the demonstration on the challenges and issues. 53 projects were not only for manufacturing, but there were many from manufacturing industries. And when it comes to the demonstration on the challenges, what issues do they have? Did they want to solve. And there are various players involved in those projects, so it is very difficult to summarize. As Ms. Itaya mentioned earlier, improvement of productivity and quality improvement in manufacturing industry for these. And what about the applications for that? And then real-time monitoring by collecting data, and that will be led to the control with a high precision camera may be used sometimes, and some kind of a sensors will be used in a real-time manner, and the data will be captured in order to bring about the adjustments or improvements for the production processes. Or more concretely, vibration and temperature of machines, such data can be captured. That can be utilized for prevention or prediction of the breakdowns or troubles in machines, such the monitoring-based prevention and maintenance. And also, the high-definition camera utilized for capturing the images are in real time, and defective products will be detected for the quality control. And improvement of productivity and quality improvement, quality control, and also support for the workforce. And that is also one of the key themes. And that is related to improvement of safety for workers, utilizing AR glasses in some demonstration project, and the instruction for work is provided in real time, and safety information is provided, and wearable devices will be utilized in order to monitor the vital signs of our workers, such as in order to prevent the overworking as well as the heat stroke. Complex assembly processes, for those who are not familiar with those processes, can be remotely supported by well-versed or skilled workers. So these are the areas many trials are being made. And furthermore, skilled workers' knowledge can be accumulated properly for a long time. And also, as Fujimoto-san mentioned, the co-working robot, including EV, ATV, or the MR, AMR, and so forth, typical ones, actually moving objects, as Itaya-san mentioned, and they can also capture data. If that can be incorporated, it will be very helpful. I will stop soon, but another point is cost reduction, energy management covering the entire factory, or utilization of renewable energy. The application can be potentially used for those purposes. So at least these are the areas for improvement. If once these can be realized, and then that means that this technology can respond to the needs of the users, of course, it will lead to the early implementation. That's what I think. But just after conducting the verification, if you ask me whether these have been introduced in the actual business practice, not yet. So that's why we are still carrying on these projects.
So there are various applications. I'm sure that there are many people who are already developing those applications. Yes, that is true. The problem is, how can we get together with these people to provide end-to-end services, to be able to offer end-to-end services? It seems as though that we're all working separately. It is fragmented. So people who are working on the challenge on their own, we have done a key user survey, And it seems as though that all of these people are working in isolation. As we clarify more the needs, we can probably put all of these together to provide offers. But I don't think we have reached that far yet. I think that is a very important point. And also, this is something that I mentioned earlier, acquiring licenses. If we can make that much easier, it would be great. So a lot of people are talking about that. So anything you would like to add? So how can we bring about the momentum? What are the actions that we can take to realize a momentum? I think I will be asking Itaya-san to make a comment after me. I have been working in IT. Today,
5G ACIA ですか
5G ACIA, during the 5G ACIA presentation, there was a discussion on OT industry. And this 5G can be adopted by a new building, but not in existing buildings. And there is a different research that with which we found out that new solutions by ventures to bring in 5Gs. What are the categories? Robots and IoT, those are the keywords that would come up. But in reality, those are superficial, available use cases. And those are the only areas that ventures have been able to make an access to. OT seems to be still very close. For us to go into NEC factories and do something together, maybe that's unthinkable. On the other hand, NTT's 5G network to be implemented in KYOCERA factory, that is also unthinkable. I think that is a bottleneck. That could be a bottleneck. So the world of OT should be more open globally. I think OT industry is opening up, and I think we should bring that into Japan as well. So two of you are active in OT industry, and all of the data, all of the information collected by you should be spread. Thank you. I think in the following questions, I think we can have deeper discussions on that. Actually, we only have 5 more minutes. So we can not possibly cover all the questions. So I'll skip question 4, if you can show the next slide. So this is related to exactly what was mentioned, OT and ICT industry. Those two industries need to work together. How can we realize a closer communication and collaboration? It seems as though that there is still a wall between the two industries. ICT industries ourselves want to work together with OT, but OT industry seems to be a little closed. So how can we realize a better communication and collaboration? I would like to cover question number 6 as well. To overcome that challenge, XGMF, FFPA, 5G, ACIA, the 3 organizations have signed an MOU and they have started collaborative activities. We can probably make use of this collaboration to realize a collaboration between manufacturing and ICT industry and to promote commercialization of this technology. So I would like to ask Shirota-san to respond to that. Let me answer the questions number 5 and number 6. 5G ACIA, in that organization, OT industry and ICT industries are working together closely. It seems as though that the ICT industry is pushing a lot and not much input from OT industry. That is the current situation. But yet we are utilizing or creating different documents. We're exchanging opinions. That is what we are doing as of today. But in fact, the OT players that go to such meetings and people representing manufacturing industries, they are they are coming close to us, but the challenge is whether we can cover other manufacturing industry. So we are trying to do networking to bring in the rest of OT industry. In number 6, there's actually a very good example. In the collaborative activities that we have, companies who are not members of 5G ACIA would try out the study of 5G ACIA. It's relatively a big company, and by doing that study, we'll be able to have this company understand what ICT industry is thinking, and the ICT industry will be able to further understand the challenges faced by people working in factories. So I think one of the ways to go is to increase the number of activities as such. That's all from me.
Thank you very much. Itaya-san, please. So OT is more closed, and that's a fact. The reason is that manufacturing equipments are using cables, and there are standardized systems using cables that are being used on the manufacturing floors, and they don't want to move to wireless. In many cases, they want to continue to use the existing system. So I think the key is how we can work with equipment manufacturers so that we can shift from cabled to wireless. So earlier, a superficial use case was mentioned, that we're just scratching the surface of what is possible. And even if manufacturing companies look at those use cases, it might be difficult to imagine how they can utilize wireless technology. So perhaps we can support that. So these may be the general use case. But for example, in this industry, for these equipments, these could be an effective way of utilization. And if we have that kind of a close communication, then we can provide more concrete examples, and that may be more appealing to manufacturing companies. That's a very simple and easy approach for us. Thank you very much. And Hibi-san, over to you. Oh, thank you. I'm the one who kind of brought this issue to the panel. But listening to, so I didn't even know that KYOCERA was part of NICT's project. So even before talking about the industry-wide efforts, I think we need to have more communication internally, what's happening within your group, because I didn't know that KYOCERA was participating. So maybe we should start with that and then work from there. I completely agree. So I know we're running out of time, but let me just make a comment. So question number 5 and number 6, in terms of the penetration to the manufacturing sector, I agree that manufacturing sectors are closed. And in our factory, we actually connect cabled equipment to a wireless equipment. And the reason why you have manufacturing companies with vendors, you don't want to do that kind of an ad hoc approach. And if the terminal is not available, we needed to try something. So that's why we converted the wired equipment to wireless on our own. And we have our own manufacturing plants, and we have the manufacturing innovation and transformation teams, and they're always thinking about what can be improved, and that's what made this kind of a innovation possible. And you need the domain knowledge, you need the expertise of the people on the ground. The OT expertise needs to be learned by the ICT in order to come up with proposals. So for example, there are wireless technologies that is not needed in some factories. Or it could create problems like latencies. So we need to make sure that the right technology is used in the right place. And the close collaboration at the end of the day is what is essential. So ICT industries always say, like, let's visualize with cameras. But those proposals are insufficient to address the issue. in order to look squarely into what's happening on the ground and what are the technologies that are needed, you need to be on the ground, on the floor, together with the OT side to understand. So ICT needs to start with listening and understanding what is truly needed on a person-to-person connection, rather than starting from wanting to expand commercial sales. And that is why these associations exist. And I have been taking part in such activities as well from last year. Thank you very much. I know time is running out, right? Can we extend by 3 minutes? No?
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Well, as Fujimoto-san said, I completely concur with that. So I have listened to all your inputs, and this is something that maybe we have discussed time and again, but still we're not seeing much progress. So Fujimoto-san, you talked about understanding the needs of each factory, but actually the feedback that we see from each factory is quite different. It's quite diverse, and ICT cannot customize for each different factory, right? That's very costly. Well, my view is that, well, this is something I'm doing internally. People who are working on communications and people who are doing the industry integration is separate. And so for the SEs, they need to have a true understanding, deep understanding of what can be made possible with the 5G network. So they understand Wi-Fi, but in terms of 5G, they need to get a true understanding, because it is the SEs that talk to the customers on an everyday level. And that is why we need more technical advancement. And so members who are participating in FFPA understand the integration and understand the different perspectives. And we are now finally seeing some results from those activities. So I hope that this kind of an understanding among SEs or industry-facing people are expanded, because the telecom pros cannot be omnipresent. So you have responded to this sixth question perfectly, the reason why these three associations are partnering. And Itaya-san, what about you? That's exactly what we want to promote as well. And my personal dream is that in Fujitsu's base station, NEC terminals connectivity test to be done in a very easy manner. That's the kind of environment that we want to do, to create. Now it's quite difficult. NEC has NEC's testbed, and Docomo has Docomo's testbed, and Fujitsu has Fujitsu's testbed. But actually, for the people working in the factory, they could have a combination of these different manufacturers' technology. And if we have an environment where these different technologies can be tested together, then that could lead to new business opportunities. Are you talking about more of a permanent facility? It could be temporary. We could do like events like that. Actually, the local 5G penetration workshop is doing that. I very much like that idea, and I actually sent an email that what I'm trying to do is being realized by Fujimoto-san. So let's do something together, because working together is another way. And we could have people who are working in manufacturing actually participate in those events. So I very much would like to consult with you. Very happy to support you. We will do everything we can to support. Maybe XGMF is also discussing the similar topic, but we always stop at how that can be realized, even though we want to do the same thing. So I'm sure that by coming together, the four organizations rather, not three, including the Broadband Association. So the four associations coming together, I think we could realize Great, thanks. Maybe KYOCERA, you can be a part of that as well. We've gone significantly over time. But lastly, I'd like to ask Iwanami-san to close.
So I would like to make it brief. So this is something I discussed during the lunchtime. For companies like Tesla or Weibo's autonomous driving taxis, last week, Meta, AR prototype called Orion was announced by them. So something that probably would exist with 5G, but that word didn't come out. So it was discussed during the panel discussions today, but innovations are happening everywhere for all of the industries for the sake of each industry. So 6G, 5G are not the main players. However, by looking at Orion, if we should be talking about if we have 6G, something could be achieved. So we should be saying that it would be even better if you have 6G. That is something that we should try to communicate. XGMF and Odaiba project, we want to become hubs, to become a kind of project to implement IX, and also 5G penetration study group. I'm also part of that. So I would like to work with those the members of each organization to promote further 5G. So even though the time was limited, I think we were able to have very productive discussions, and we can have very high expectations for the future of this technology. And all of those who are here in this room, I'm sure you enjoy the panel discussions. Something great is going to happen in the future. So Fujimoto-san, you talked about gradual spread of local 5G, and I think today may be a great start to accelerate the penetration for the 4 organizations to further collaborate. So let us work together to bring the momentum to spread 5G, including millimeter wave as well. So please, I do hope that all of you would join one of the 4 organizations so that you can work together with us. Thank you. With this, I would like to conclude today's discussion. Nakamura-san, Iwanami-san, panelists, thank you very much for your contribution.
Lastly, the former chairperson of 5GMF, Professor Emeritus of Kyoto University, Professor Susumu Yoshida, is going to deliver his message of support. Please have the floor, Professor Yoshida.
Hi, hello everyone. As has been introduced, up until March this year, I was the chairman of the 5th Generation Mobile Communication Promotion Forum of 5GMF. My name is Yoshida. Takehiro Nakamura and Iwanami-san, moderators and commentators, and also 4 panelists participated in a wonderful panel discussion. Thank you very much for that. As Nakamura-san mentioned that this was the panel discussion which gave us a promising prospect for the future going forward. I was in charge of the promotion of 5G, and 5G is not advancing as we expected, but there is a huge potential in 5G. So you may have been perplexed to see the current status, but I was listening to the discussion, and although with the difficulties, all of them were making challenges, and I was pleased to hear that. But a little bit shocking to me was Itaya-san mentioned that the 3 characteristics of 5G were categorized into 3 characteristics that may be misleading. And Hibi-san perhaps mentioned that the illusion triangle or phantom triangle And that was a shocking message. As the persons who needed to promote 5G, I think that we could have done a better job in communicating to the wider public. So at XGMF, as the successor organization, I hope that they will do a better job than us. I know that you are exhausted, but if I may, I would like to give you the message of support. But actually for XGMF, XGMF is the XG Mobile Communication Promotion Forum. For this organization, I was asked to deliver the message of support to them. So I was given this opportunity to speak like this. And the local 5G international workshop is being held, and I understand that. But if I may spend a little time, and I would like to talk about the freshly built organization in April this year, XGMF, that was explained by several people today. I would like to give you my personal view on that and expectation to that instead of a message of support. And today we discussed mainly 5G, and tomorrow in the international conference tomorrow, 5G as well as 6G will be discussed, and perhaps 6G will be taken up as the agenda item. 5G and 6G are attracting great attention worldwide, particularly in addition to the advancement of 5G, AI, and integration with the sensing, and also ubiquitous connectivity. The 6G, which are also encompassing these, is a critical infrastructure that will be indispensable in driving the network to society of the future. And acceleration and the early realization of R&D is urgently needed. To that end, the XGMF, which was newly established in April of this year, of course, the communication needs to be done correctly. But I believe that the public has extremely high expectation for XGMF. Regarding the Nobel Prize awards, the Physics Prize and the Chemistry Prize, which were recently announced, was quite a great surprise. The Physics Prize was awarded to 2 researchers of machine learning in the field of AI, artificial intelligence, and the Chemistry Prize was awarded to 3 researchers who succeeded in predicting the 3D structure of proteins using AI. AI is now playing an extremely important role in a wide range of fields beyond the framework of ICT, including the worlds of physics and chemistry. So the result may in turn mean that the 5G and 6G network, which are expected to dramatically increase the capabilities and the social impact of AI, will now expand beyond the framework of ICT field to a wider range of fields in society and bring about a significant impact and change in the society. As stated in the subtitle of today's morning international workshop, 5G communications, spreading dreams on land, sea, sky, and space. I sincerely hope that 5G and 6G will give dreams to the people and spread the dreams of all people. So towards this end, I would like to express my personal thoughts on the XGMF, whose activities are highly expected in the future. I know I'm using a lot of time now, but I'd like to share with you just 3 points. First is cross-industry collaboration. 5G infrastructure has been developed and is now in the process of full-scale dissemination and implementation, while 6G framework, which will be discussed in more details tomorrow, has already been finalized and is in the process of being standardized by 3GPP. 6G, for the success of 6G or beyond 5G, I believe the success of the current 5G is indispensable or a prerequisite. A major key to success of 5G is the penetration of cross-industry collaboration into society. Today's international workshop in the morning and afternoon was extremely timely, and I listened to it with great interest as it is exactly at the forefront of a cross-industry collaboration. I believe that one of the means to accelerate the achievement of this goal is local 5G or private 5G, which was the theme of the afternoon workshop. Fortunately, with the lifting of the ban on the multi-vendor open RANs and the joint use of a single local 5G base station by multiple users, the cost of equipment and maintenance costs will gradually be reduced and its spread is expected to be accelerated. CTEC has organized sessions concerning local 5G in recent years.
And I am very happy to hear that the spread of local 5G is steadily progressing. And with the support of XGMF, I look forward to its further development and penetration into society. I have high expectation for XGMF's efforts to ensure that the merits and differences between the local 5G and wide area commercial 5G are widely and correctly understood by the public, and that the diffusion and deployment of 5G services will make dramatic progress in the fields of beyond the boundaries of industry. Once the attractiveness of 5G is widely acknowledged, I believe the expectation toward 5G will naturally be enhanced. Second, I would like to talk about improving the international visibility of the XGMF. From the planning stage of XGMF, we have heard that they wanted to make the organization as flat as possible. The XGMF was established in the hope of creating a place where anyone interested in 5G and 6G can frankly exchange views and ideas, and eventually to encourage the emergence of pioneering results and ideas from Japan. I sincerely hope that XGMF will become a treasure trove of aggressive human resources, and that many projects based on unique ideas will be launched, producing a number of world-leading results. On the other hand, up until March, the 5GMF and beyond 5G promotion consortium existed side by side, and some have pointed out that the point of contact from overseas was unclear. With this integration of the two organizations, the contact points have been unified. We hope that this will greatly improve the visibility of the XGMF internationally. However, because of the flat organization, I am somewhat concerned about how Japan's activities will appear to be organized from the perspective of foreign countries. I sincerely hope that the XGMF will enhance its English language website to improve its international visibility and significantly increase the number of accesses from overseas so that the Japanese activities and initiatives can be properly understood by people overseas. Needless to say, the international workshop at CTEC and the international conference to be held tomorrow are excellent occasions to enhance the visibility of our international activities. I would like to send a big cheer for your future activities, including continued vigorous international collaboration with overseas organizations and forums that are driving 5G and 6G, and the promotion of project activities with a view to collaboration and a co-creation that transcends industry and national boundaries. Third, lastly, I would like to talk about the infinitely strong and secure network. The Noto Peninsula earthquake caused extensive damage to the telecommunications infrastructure. The importance of a non-terrestrial network represented by Starlink was recognized once again. Other major natural disasters and large-scale network problems have also occurred frequently in Japan. A disaster-prone country, Japan, it is necessary to achieve an infinitely high level of reliability by making full use of various telephony technologies, including AI, to reconfigure and rebuild the networks flexibly based on the assumption that such problems may occur as we advocate social infrastructure. I have high expectations for the activities of the XGMF to realize such a super reliable network in 6G. Finally, I would like to reiterate my remarks made at the last general meeting of the Beyond the 5G Consortium in March of this year, namely, and the new organization to be established in April this year, we needed to move away from the passive attitudes that someone else will do it for us, and instead require individual companies and individuals to be prepared to use the potential of 5G and beyond 5G on their own to compete with the rest of the world. In addition, I expect Japan to work in unison to create an organization in which a more diverse range of human resources, including women, can fully demonstrate their ability, and in which Japan can play a leading role in closer cooperation with other countries around the world than has been possible in the past. That message was mentioned by myself at the General Assembly. So, Professor Morikawa and Professor Nakao, in conclusion, I would like to conclude my message of support by expressing my hope that the XGMF will make a significant contribution to strengthening the growth potential of the information and communications industry by creating innovative technologies and new cases that are not bound by common sense or convention, as stated in the purpose of its establishment. This concludes my remarks. Thank you.
吉田様、ありがとうござい
Thank
ま
you
した。
very much, Professor Yoshida.